cluster the competencies. People I see are doing that. People can't talk about the 18 or 20 competencies. They don't know the language of competencies. They know the language of the workplace. They know what they make and do in their workplace. They know what good communication means in their workplace. They know what it is to be a member of the team and to supervise staff and to all that. And they know about the health and safety issues in their workplace. And if we've mapped those back to the competency standards, we can be having our professional conversation with people about their workplace and ticking off and following through on some of those critical aspects of assessment from the competency standards. Similarly with the essential knowledge. Know what your essential knowledge is. See how it informs it. Gather it up out of the competency standards. There's a body of knowledge that informs our work. And again, map it back. So again, when we talk about what the legislation is, we know which competencies it relates to and what we're not prepared to sign off on until they know it. And then work up your professional conversation. Clarify experience. Follow the journey. Talk with them. Explore the routine and the planned. Respond to challenges. How do they respond to challenges? And what about health and safety? It's one of my favourite graphs from social sciences. This is about organ donors, people who are willing to be organ donors. And you'll see we've got there in Europe, they're all European countries. On the right-hand side in the blue are countries that seem to be doing a lot of people willing to be organ donors. On the left-hand side, countries where they're not so willing. And when you first look and ask about these things, you generally say, well, it's probably cultural. Maybe it's tradition or more accepted in that culture to be making organ donations or whatever. Or maybe it's religious. Maybe there's prohibitions against it in some or whatever. But as you look at it there, you'll see that countries that you might think are similar, Sweden, Denmark, very different in the rates of organ donation. Again, Germany is in one, Austria in the other. Not surprising that France and the UK are apart, I suppose, is it? But of course, what's the difference? You know what the difference is? The countries on the right, when you get your licence to renew your licence, you get something that says, check the box if you, on the left-hand side, check the box if you want to participate in organ donor program. The countries on the right-hand side with the higher levels say check the box if you don't want to participate in the organ program. Most people never check the box. Some people join, some people don't. But if we make the default option organ donation, we get a lot of it. If we make the default option, you've got to opt in, you've got to choose to be in part of it, then we get less. And again, I think that has relevance to RPL. This is, again, I've just summarised this down, and please, I won't mention the name of the company or the organisation. But I don't think they've got anything to be ashamed of, actually, but that's, when they analysed the qualification they wanted, they divided the competencies up into two sets. There was one set that were fairly technical, and there was another set that was probably more of the soft skills and others that they weren't so familiar with delivering. And this company was its own RTO. They only had one qualification on their scope of practice, but they were their own RTO. And they, with the technical competencies, they thought, we know these, we can do these ourselves. And they said, we'll try it with RPL. And 8 years in, everybody that goes in gets RPL for those subjects. They didn't do a TNA of the individual people. On the basis of their job description, if they're doing this thing, we reckon they should be able to do it. Now, they didn't all get it automatically. It's not that simple. Some of them, it was come back later, do some more experience, rotate around the workplace, work in another place, come back to us, be mentored and whatever. But 100%, they went in with the expectation of doing RPL, and that's what they got. The other part, they thought, well, we're not so certain about that. We'll contract that out for training. And of course, that RTO that they contracted out to is bound to offer RPL, as all are bound to offer RPL. But in all that time, no one got RPL for anything. And when you look at some of the competencies, they're not all soft or technical. Over here, you know, some of these competencies are work with other services. These people have been doing the job for 15, 20 years. Often our expectations shape the outcome. We go in for training, and if that's the default option, we get training. I reckon I'd like to see our forms read something like this. Check the box if you don't want your current skills and abilities to be taken into account. We have the skills to do this. We use the skills in teaching all the time. The skills are also out there in industry. Industry uses a similar set of things to evaluate good practice, good work and work improvement. COAG mandate goes on even if the funding runs out. The obligation was that all RTOs offer all workers a quick and simple approach to recognise their skills. I'd like to paraphrase that and see that as a policy, that when students enrol or they come to the briefing day or the interest day or the whatever it is we run, information day, it's our policy and a requirement under the terms of our funding to offer all workers entering training who are not new entrants to the labour market a quick and simple process to recognise their skills, and that's what we do here. That would support the student. Thank you.